Welcome to Beyond the Lens, where history comes alive, and every documentary takes you deeper than ever before. History isn't just written in books. It's carved into ancient ruins, hidden beneath the oceans. For breathtaking this is a journey beyond the lens.
According to ancient texts, Dwarka was a city of immense wealth and unmatched beauty. Built on the western coast under the rule of Lord Krishna, it was described as a fortress of golden palaces and impenetrable walls, standing as the crown jewel of the Dvarpara Yuga. But 36 years after the great Mahabharata war, the mighty Yadava dynasty tore itself apart. Prosperity bred arrogance. A celebration devolved into a brutal argument. Brothers fought brothers, and the seemingly invincible clan destroyed itself from the inside out. Witnessing the end of his people, Krishna retreated to a nearby forest, where his earthly mission concluded. Recognizing the imminent danger, his companion Arjuna gathered the surviving citizens and rushed them out of the city gates. They barely made it. The Mahabharata describes the Arabian Sea violently rising up. Massive waves battered the coastal defenses. Within days, roads, temples, and palaces completely collapsed beneath the rising water. The ocean swallowed the kingdom whole. This absolute physical destruction erased Dwarka from the map. Over the centuries, the tangible city faded from human memory, transforming into a religious symbol about the turning of cosmic ages. For thousands of years, travelers and pilgrims have journeyed to Gujarat to visit the modern city of Dwarka. They walk its streets and pray in its temples, surrounded by the physical reality of the present. Yet, for all that time, there was no physical evidence of the ancient kingdom. Without a single stone or artifact to study, the prevailing view among modern historians and academics was that Krishna's sunken capital was a symbolic fiction. This lack of physical proof created a long-standing tension between cultural memory and academic skepticism. A civilization was widely believed to exist by millions, yet dismissed by mainstream science. That tension held for centuries, until someone finally decided to look beneath the waves. In the 1980s, the Indian marine archaeologist Dr. S.R. Rao organized an unprecedented expedition. He brought a team to the Gulf of Kutch, right off the coast of modern-day Dwarka, to search the seabed. The divers descended into the Arabian Sea, fighting through currents to scan the sandy ocean floor for any structural anomalies. What they found surprised the world. Resting on the seabed were massive stone blocks, deliberately cut and arranged in perfectly straight lines. Alongside heavy anchors, this distinct geometric grid identifies these not as natural formations, but as the remains of a complex maritime port. These discoveries confirm that a real ancient port city existed exactly where the mythology claimed. But finding ruins in the water raises the ultimate question. Do these specific stones definitively belong to Krishna's legendary Dwarka? To answer that, we run into a major limitation of archaeology. Organic materials, like a piece of wood or a bone, hold pardon that slowly decays, allowing us to map a timeline. But raw stone blocks do not. Because researchers cannot directly carbon date the actual walls of the submerged structures, it is currently impossible to assign them an exact century of construction. We also have to factor in the mechanics of geology. The western coast of India is highly active. Earthquakes, tectonic shifts, and naturally rising sea levels have a long history of claiming coastal settlements. The environment here is constantly eroding the land. The ocean is actively taking back the shoreline today, just as it did in the past. Geology proves it is perfectly possible for a city to sink in the Gulf of Kutch. However, science currently lacks the tools to definitively stamp the name Dwarka onto these specific stones. The honest scientific conclusion is that we lack the definitive proof needed to perfectly match these ruins to the Mahabharata's specific narrative. Yet the expedition revealed that the ancient story encoded real historical memories of maritime trade and catastrophic environmental shifts. Today, Dwarka occupies a unique dual space. It remains a rigorous archaeological puzzle for researchers and an enduring spiritual beacon for millions of pilgrims. These traditions serve as the echoed preservation of real ancient human events. Whether these specific underwater ruins are Krishna's ancient kingdom or another forgotten port, the Arabian Sea reminds us how much of our human story is still waiting to be understood in the deep. For centuries, the ancient city of Dwarka was treated as a beautiful fable. Ancient epics described a magnificent seaside kingdom ruled by Lord Krishna, a place of immense wealth and massive architecture that eventually vanished beneath the waves. These descriptions were not vague legends. They were meticulously recorded in revered scriptures like the Mahabharata and the Bhagavata Purana. Most historians assumed these accounts were purely symbolic representations of a lost utopia. That consensus changed when marine archaeologists diving off the coast of Gujarat located a submerged landscape. On the seafloor, they found massive stone structures and ancient walls with distinct 90-degree angles, located precisely where the texts placed the city. Alongside these structures, divers uncovered scattered artifacts and heavy stone anchors. These objects indicate that the site was once a high-traffic port, capable of supporting the large-scale maritime trade described in the epics. The existence of these ruins suggests the ancient texts may be more than just religious allegory. Instead, we may be looking at a historical record of a real civilization, preserved through oral tradition and later committed to script. The founding of Dwarka appears to have been driven by a practical necessity of ancient statecraft. Krishna originally ruled from Mathura in northern India, but the kingdom's inland position left it exposed to enemies on all sides. Ancient records describe a period of relentless military pressure, specifically citing 17 consecutive invasions by Emperor Jarasandha of Magadha. These attacks effectively turned Mathura into a permanent war zone. To end this cycle of attrition, Krishna organized a strategic migration. He moved his entire population hundreds of miles west to the extreme edge of the Gujarat peninsula. The scriptures frame this move as a miracle, claiming Krishna prayed to the ocean god to pull back the tides and reveal a new land for his people to inhabit. In practical terms, creating a city at the water's edge required extensive land reclamation and the construction of massive seawalls. By building on the coast, the Yadavas turned the ocean into a natural defensive moat, making the city nearly impossible for inland infantries to besiege. This relocation ensured the survival of the kingdom. By choosing a geographically isolated site, the leadership traded a vulnerable homeland for a secure capital that could thrive without the constant threat of invasion. Safe behind its walls, Dwarka grew into a center of immense wealth. Ancient descriptions depict a metropolis of grand palaces, crystal halls, and architecture decorated so heavily in gold that it shimmered under the sun. Direct accounts from the Harivamsa and Bhagavata Purana emphasize the city's architectural scale, describing wide roads, massive gateways, and thousands of luxurious homes. While the gold is often interpreted literally, it likely reflects the economic reality of a booming maritime hub. Dwarka's location allowed it to control the trade routes connecting the Indian interior to civilizations across the Arabian Sea. This trade brought a steady influx of commodities into the harbor, specifically silk, spices, and precious metals, that made the ruling clan the wealthiest in the region. This economic stability transformed Dwarka into a political powerhouse. During the era of the Mahabharata, the city's resources and military support were considered the deciding factors in the struggle for control over northern India. The Golden City of the epics was the result of a successful trade monopoly. Dwarka didn't rely on magic for its prosperity. It dominated the global commerce of its time. Despite building a fortress that was safe from outside armies, the kingdom eventually fell. The threat that finally destroyed Dwarka didn't come from the sea or a foreign invader, but from within its own walls. Mythology attributes the downfall to the Curse of the Sages, a prophecy that predicted the ruling Yadava clan would become the instruments of their own destruction. This curse serves as a historical metaphor for social decay. Decades of extreme wealth and security led to internal rivalries and political infighting, eventually triggering a civil conflict that decimated the city's leadership. With its social structure in ruins, the city was unable to withstand the rising tides. Shortly after the clan's collapse, a tectonic shift or a sudden rise in sea levels submerged the capital beneath the Arabian Sea. Today, the ruins remain submerged in silence, serving as a physical link between the verses of the Mahabharata and the findings of modern marine science. Dwarka provides evidence that ancient myths are often the echoes of real events. It stands as a reminder that while strategic leadership can build a golden age, internal instability can cause even the strongest walls to sink.